Okay, negative 5x is equal to negative 20. How do we solve a problem like this? Well, the first thing I want you to do is to make sure that we don't worry about the big scary words. So this kind of problem is probably called something like linear equations in your math book. I've got it labeled linear equations here. Please, please, please understand, you don't need to be afraid of the big scary words. Nobody told me this when I learned algebra. I had to learn it the hard way, but I'm going to make this easy on you and tell you that you don't need to worry about the big scary words at the that are the chapter titles in your book or the section, whatever you're working on. There'll be some big scary words. In this case, I've got it labeled as linear equations, which is probably the big scary word that you guys have in your math book or whatever you're working in, your digital book that you're working in. You just don't have to know these big scary words. If they don't make any sense to you, that's okay, because you don't have to learn them. You don't use them for anything. So don't let these big scary words throw you. In fact, if you look down here at Mr. Camel, I'm drawing a mark over the first hump. So the first hump in any algebra equation is to just not worry about the big scary words that are the title of that section you're working on. And just to kind of drive home the point, up here I've got a shark and a dinosaur, and they're both there to terrify you. I'm just making fun of the fact that I call this shark the great word shark, and this dinosaur the Tyrannosaurus Rex. And they just say big scary words and try to scare you. So if you'll just ignore these words, you've already over the first hump, okay? So down there, Mr. Camel. And the only thing you really have to do in math class is work the problems. And the problems, luckily, are addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So that's what we got Fluffy Piggy here for. And Fluffy Piggy is, of course, a whole lot nicer than Mr. Shark or Mr. Dinosaur. And Fluffy Piggy says, all we need to do is work the problems. Yay! So that makes life a lot easier. So how do we do this? Well, I'm going to just rewrite the equation. Negative 5x, which means negative 5 times x, is equal to negative 20. So both sides of this equation are equal. That's what an equation is. And I want to, on any kind of problem like this where you just see x and then a bunch of numbers. So here we have a negative 5 and negative 20 on the other side. There's no other letters here. There's no other variables. It's just one x all by itself. We want to isolate that x, and we want to get it on one side of the equation all by itself. That's all we have to do. Don't need to worry about anything else. So I can add, subtract, multiply, divide. I can do anything I want to both sides of an equation as long as I do the same thing to both sides of the equation. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide both sides of this equation by a number. And I'm going to choose a number that will get rid of this negative 5. Well, guess what? The number I'm going to choose is negative 5. I'm going to just divide both sides of this equation by negative 5. And why am I going to do that? Well, this term here, this negative 5 divided by negative 5, that simplifies to just 1. Because anything divided by itself is 1. That's why I did that. And so the x doesn't change. I'm just going to bring that down. So this whole thing simplifies to 1 times x. And on the right side, negative 20 divided by negative 5 simplifies to just 4. So 1 times x equals 4. And we don't really need to say 1 times x. That's just the same as saying x. And 4 doesn't change, so x equals 4. Yay! That is the solution. Okay, I'm going to draw a rectangle around it. So x equals 4. And we could stop right there, and you're done, and that's it. However, if you want to be an A student, you'll check your work and make sure you didn't make any mistakes. We all make mistakes. So let's make sure we didn't make any errors. I'm going to rewrite the original equation right here and plug in the x solution that we came up with. So here I am rewriting the original equation. Negative 5 times x, negative 5x, is equal to negative 20. And then I'm going to take our solution of x equals 4 and plug it into this equation and see if it holds true. So negative 5 times x. What did we get for x? We got 4 down here, okay? So I'm going to say, I'm going to plug in 4 right there for x. So negative 5 times 4 is equal to, I'm just going to rewrite what we had before, negative 20. And let's simplify both sides. Negative 5 times 4 is negative 20. And that equals, on the right side, nothing changes, negative 20. Well, guess what? Our equation holds true, right? So I'm going to write a big check mark. Yay, that was correct. It held true, and that means that our solution over here of x equals 4 was correct. So we got to not only solve the problem, but we checked ourselves and made sure we didn't make any mistakes. So I'm going to give us an A+.
Thumbs up and subscribe. For more videos like this, check out algebravideos.com.